Alright. Railroad Preserver 2000 here, back again doing another video here. And guys, I'm at the National Transportation Museum here in St. Louis. And in front of me is, I think, I have to look at the name, but in front of me is a 282 Mikado type number 551, and beside it is Burlington Route Zephyr number 9908, the Silver Charger. It's just the locomotive from it, and I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of each of the collections, going by row. Now over there is one of the engines used at the Panama Canal, and then they have a few Missouri, Kansas, Texas Caboose there. They have a small, probably a fireless cooker over there. I don't know if that's a fireless cooker or a typical shunting engine. I'd have to look. And over there they've got a turntable, and of course there's a barge wheelhouse there. So I'm going to try and walk through the exhibits here because they have a signal here that's operational. I have to use manual zoom, so forgive me. I'm giving a tour, so I'm going to just try and get by without interrupting anything here.
This one here behind us is one of my favorites.
Burlington Zephyr. Chicago, Illinois Midland is the name of the railroad here, so C&IM.
Built in 1939. So these two would have been on the rail at the same time. This was part of the General Pershing Zephyr. The body was made by Lloyd. One of the last.
So you can see they have some old mail cars here and some old passenger cars along with it, and then so they have this thing pulling what would be a mail train, and then this one pulling a freight train here. So this thing is turned to 100 in 2010. So yeah, they've got the color position light signal, which is that there. I don't know if it works. Let's see, red. Let me zoom in on the signal. Yep, it works. Alright, so that is red, which would be stop.
Most of these Zephyrs like this have these captures or green tracks. This one's good.
There's green and orange.
This one had a regular light. So during World War II when they needed.
So they must not. So the two lights work, but oh well, it's probably due to the lighting outside. And I'm probably going to use all my cameras that I've got with me today. The Canon Rebel, which is what I'm filming with today, right now. The Power Shot, and then then my phone. I might use that last because I want to get pictures of the locomotives too. So you've got Railway Express Agency cars here. So that's from the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. Sorry. You've got another one here, which is from the post. This would have been the post office. In fact, this one still has the thing they would have used to, I guess, grab the mail bags. Because I know stations would have train order poles where they would tie the train order to, and they'd hold it up as the engine passed so that the engineer could get the train orders, and then they could do the same thing for the crew in the caboose after it passed. Now up here is an unpainted switcher from the Georgia Railroad that made its way here to St. Louis. And there's another better picture of the Panama Canal locomotive. That was one of the early ones. You've got a reefer here. They would have put ice in along the top, and that would be what kept your fruits and vegetables cold. Now the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum has two of these reefers. They're not Milwaukee Road reefers, but yeah, they've got a this is an old tank car here from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm gonna have to try and keep talking here because they've got copyrighted music playing. It was built in 1940s, so when I'm 40 years old, that will be when this turns 100. It's 70 years old, just shy of over 70. It's almost 80 actually, because this is 2019, so next year we'll make this thing 80 years old. Proof that what we build here lasts. So now we have a Northern Pacific caboose, which they allow you to walk through, and then they've got a Mopac caboose here, Missouri Pacific, which is the railroad that the movie End of the Line was filmed on. And then here's the Georgia Railroad switcher. Doesn't look anything like Doesn't look like it did when the Georgia Railroad had it. But you can see, if you remember the engine at Steamtown, it has this type of tender here.
Check it out.
So yeah, this engine was built in 1896 from what I read. Apparently it was painted blue at one point. You can see they're trying to restore it. So yeah, so it's a 030, an 060 rather. So yeah, Georgia Railroad. So by the in 1966, that sucker would turn probably 60 to 70, because 1996 made this sucker 100 years old. They've got a water level division streetcar there that's operational, and over here, up there at the top of the hill, is a Canadian National locomotive from Steamtown. I'm guessing that's the case, because you wouldn't find a Canadian locomotive out here unless it came from Steamtown. So yeah, let's go aboard Missouri Pacific Caboose number 13889. Shall we? Because this is the first bay window caboose I've seen of this specific design. Yeah, I'll have to find a way to mute the audio there, sorry. So here's the inside here. You've got the oil fired heater, so I'm wanting to also do a better job than how I did at Chattanooga. Sorry, Jesse. I was so busy talking to you that I didn't get the camera straight. Yeah. You got the toilet here. Actually, can you open this? Oh, no, you can't. They have it locked. Good, actually. So you got the bay window here. This is... So normally the cabooses you'd see have the cupola that's up top, like this one in front of us here, but these had bay windows on the side. Now, B&O, C&O, Western Maryland, and I think this railroad and a few others used bay window cabooses. I know New York Central and Pennsylvania used them. Yeah, this is, I think, where the brakeman would sit, and this is where the conductor would sit to fill out his paperwork. You've got an old sink here, which clearly it won't work because the handle's missing. Got your old electrical box here. They got an air horn on the streetcar. So they have flags and torpedoes. And again, from what I told you in Chattanooga, the torpedoes they would have used were essentially little blasting caps, kind of. They would have put them on the rail. Usually they would hold them down on the rail with aluminum straps, so when the train ran over it, it ignited the torpedo and it would let out a loud bang, and that let the engineer know, okay, hey, there's a problem, stop the train. Now I think this is interesting because this caboose has, I think, what would be equivalent to a blinking Mars light on the back of it, so that's nice. And then they'd have these platforms here so you could stand out and, what do you call it? You'd actually be able to stand out, hold onto this rail and look out like this, so you'd have better visibility. There's another reefer down there, and that's actually not a Missouri, Kansas, Texas caboose. That's a Burlington Northern caboose. My mistake, y'all. I'm sorry. And again, paint schemes are similar. Knuckle couplers don't watch out. Brake wheels locked. Now, this is another caboose, but you can see it's much more cramped because they have a lot more in it. They've got a heater fuel tank instead of a coal stove. You've got where your conductor would sit filling his paperwork out. They got fuses and torpedoes up here. There would probably be some kind of flag in there. And here you've got a toilet, which they've locked, which is nice. They got fire extinguishers in here. You've got where you would, you guys could sit and chill. There's another cooking stove, so that would have been your cooking stove, oil fire heater. Water tank, in fact, I think. Yeah. Conductor, the water doesn't work. Yeah. You got drinking water tank there. Now, the reason there's no cabooses today, except on locals and switch moves, is because of the rear end train device. They would have those are on the back of the train, and they relay any problems to the engineer head end. And there's another breaker box.
So the crews left Nicholas?
Now here's an example of what I was talking about with the cupola. This is how most cabooses were built until the bay window one came around. Crew would sit up here and then they'd sleep down here. These are their bunks. There's another bunk here for an extra crewman. Oh, so you can walk through the tank car. First tank car I've ever walked through. Let's do it. Now that would be where you'd put your lights. So let's see here. That's interesting. Well then, first tank car I've ever been in. Echo! And this is an old sucker. You know it's 1940 when you see these rivets. So really, if you guys wanted a comparison as to what a steam locomotive boiler would look like on the inside, in a sense, this is what it would look like. Of course, the design would be much, much different. But inside would be a cylinder. You'd have the riveted plates on the inside. Of course, they'd probably be filed down so there wasn't any friction between the steam, but solid steel. That's probably God knows how many inches thick. And this is where you would load your cargo up. Probably all kinds of noxious gases and fumes and God knows what to knock yourself out. Then we're coming up here behind the reefer. Watch your step. Now I've seen equipment at Cass have this on the brake. From what, if I remember, and I think Josh could correct me on this if I talk to him again, this is to completely release the brakes. Either that or to completely lock it down. I don't remember. Of course, they literally have it locked down here. So yeah, I got this row done. So I will go and walk down the other row next. This time it'll be from up here walking down. So yeah. I don't know if you can walk in between this here, but that'd be nice. You're joking. I had wondered if there was an active rail line back here. Well, active rail line. I was right. I had thought this would have been by an active railroad. Again, there's the other Canadian Canadian National locomotive in there. Sorry, y'all, the recording stopped. So there is probably BNSF or Union Pacific passing. There's the streetcar there. I'm hoping I'll be able to ride on that. So yeah, that sucker's running at probably at least 50 to 60 miles an hour. Now, here is a U.S. Army 242 diesel switcher. Now that would have been used on an Army base, so to switch equipment around. And then there's another tinier one right there. Probably a Porterbuilt if I had to guess. This was built by Davenport Bessler Corporation, a 1B1 experimental gas turbine locomotive. And there is a Milwaukee Road E2. Well, I think that's an E2, I could be wrong, but. And then here's Spokane, Portland, and Seattle, Caboose number 884. This was built in 1954. So now you've got here a milk tank car. That's actually rather interesting. And then here you've got a picketback container from Missouri Pacific. Probably the only road railer I've ever seen. And that sucker was painted blue at one point. God, that's a pretty color, blue for that. So this is a Whitcomb diesel here. This was built in 1924. So you could see even that early, even as early as 1924, they were already building diesels to replace steam. But this was on the Milwaukee Road, and the Milwaukee Road had a lot of electric equipment. They had diesels, but they also had a lot of electric equipment. Now I think this is one of the earliest locomotives from their roster that they preserved, but you can see it has a centipede wheel design, meaning there's multiple wheel trucks to hold the weight of the engine. Now they've got this here, so you can walk in here. So this is where a car that would have been used to carry milk, but I want to go in this Caboose first. Now I'll come back to these two. I want to walk down the rest of the roster here and see what they got. Now that flat car there is, I think, one they would use to haul railroad rail, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong in terms of that. You know, I think this is the first museum I've ever been to that has a road rail trailer preserved. I'm glad to see that. There's a short line that's nearby where I live, and they have a lot of these old road railing cars stored.
Yeah, well, we were fortunate that when the Missouri Pacific retired it, they could easily pull it in here.
I know that's where the movie End of the Line was filmed.
Oh yeah.
That was made back in the 80s. It's funny, from what I read about the Locomotive, when they were done filming, they returned it to the Missouri Pacific, and there were still bullet holes from when they had a scene that involved them shooting at it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just broke out laughing when I heard that.
This is an interesting one.
So here's another electric locomotive, 1575, a Class B, from Illinois Terminal. And then they have a New York Central electric locomotive, number 113.
One of my favorites.
And then here is a, yeah. Oh, this isn't rails at all. This would be used to carry automobiles. So this is one of the an early auto rack. You can see the design here. They had it open, so have fun with your car getting washed. They got probably the world's largest tank car here. Now here's 113 again. This was probably all alternating current instead of direct current. I'd have to look. Well, yeah. Now here's a EJ&E. Well, no, not EJ&E. Never mind. Joplin Pittsburgh Railroad Company. A yeah. Center cab unit, and then there's another electric locomotive, and now here's the monster of a tanker right here. You probably use this to carry rocket fuel in, I bet. So this is a B&O. So never mind, this isn't electric. So this is so no, this is an early diesel. I'm glad to see they kept it. So this is an early dual cab diesel. So this could essentially be considered something inspired by European locomotives, if you think about it, because the locomotives in Europe have cabs on either end, and I think that that removes the problem of having to turn the engine around each way. Now I'm curious as to what this sucker was used for. Look at this. I can't even get this tank car in the shot unless I stand right here. Now I do want to photograph the equipment, but it's mostly the other engines here. Now this is General American Transportation Company, 1965. Same year so this was built the same year that the St. Louis Arch was completed. So this was retired in 1971. Someone is not happy over there. So now here's Frisco 210 number 1621. Then here you've got a switcher number 408 from not having a good day.
No, just not his moment.
Yeah, so this engine turned 100 last year, so this would have been, so this is now 102 this year, 2019. So St. Louis, San Francisco. Then there's the Sabine River in northern. Oh wait, can you go inside this thing? Well, I guess you can. They got stairs. Let's go. I've been inside a few diesel locomotives that have been retired, but you can see very narrow crew quarters here. Very narrow walkways. So here's the inside. This is where the conductor would sit. You got large windows for your visibility. You got windows in the back for reverse. You got the brake wheel in here. Still apparently you can still use it if you wanted to. Oh, yeah, let's not touch that actually, because I don't want to release the brakes on this thing. That'd be terrible. So you've got all the equipment here. It'd be nice if they had the levers labeled, because even I forget.
But can we drive this?
So this was for the bell. So this is the bell here. So that'd be compressed air. This thing is not focusing in. Oh, that's right, because I'm partially zoomed in. Oh no, I'm zoomed out. So why? There we go. I'm having to manually focus it too. I'm sorry, y'all. You got the.
Wow. Guys, can I come here?
That's an issue. So engine shutdown. Psych. Engine ignition. So I think this would have been for the signals here. Reminds me of an old engine room telegraph on a ship.
Maybe it's the lights.
So yeah. Apparently the generator's not working. Alternator or whatever they would call it on here. Yeah, very narrow walkways. That's the thing. So I'm going to have to make sure I don't break my neck because I don't want to break this camera. So yeah, I'm going to take a picture of these two next. But yeah, look at the gallon number on that sucker. 6,018 gallons. You don't see that anymore now. So they've got the stack capped on here, so they're trying to keep water from getting into the boiler. Okay, so we've got Erie Lackawanna now. See, I'm going to walk back up here on this side because then I'll be able to show you guys those two freight cars. That freight car and that caboose they have up here. Now they do have a big boy here. 4006, sister to the 4014, which is now currently operational on Union Pacific. Which I'm hoping I'll get to see in Cheyenne. Even if it's not moving or if they... I'll be glad to see it. I don't know if I will be able to see it if they have it, because the chances are they might have it in the shop since they just brought it back from Ogden. So we'll just have to wait and see. They've got more freight cars up there in a massive train shed. So yeah, we'll head up there in a minute. Also, they have the famous Aerotrain, which was an experimental passenger train built during the 1960s. I think it was either the 1960s or the 1950s. I don't remember, but here's this auto rack again. Now, these remained open like this until around the early 80s, early 70s, early 80s, because that's when you started seeing the enclosed auto racks, because they were at first enclosed along the sides and the front and the back, and then they enclosed the top. And you can see this Mopac Missouri Pacific trailer has probably been around since at least the 1970s, because that was back when a lot of trucking companies were taking over freight operations from these railroads. So they tried to compensate that by working with the trucking companies by transporting their trailers, and they still do that today. A few railroads do, but that's rare now. And now here's the milk car here. And then they've got some more equipment up there. They've got a New York Central locomotive, one of the few that were ever preserved. So we'll check that out in a second. So this was H.P. Hood and Sons. So you don't see this anymore. 12/11/51. I wonder if that's the build date. I think that might be the build date. I could be wrong. Oh, okay. I didn't know it was essentially a high pressure tank in here. It's kind of amazing considering it was used to carry milk. So that was a motor. So this was essentially a giant blender for milk. So there's the propeller, so it's a giant boat. Still turns. That would have probably been your lever to agitate this, but this reminds me of a submarine door, or actually an early boiler when you think about it. So there would have been like straps on here to seal this sucker off. It kind of reminds me of really like, well, not a boiler, part of me is it reminds me of a mixture between a decompression chamber that they use for divers, a boiler, a nuclear reactor, and essentially a giant freaking fuel tank. Oh Lord, I'm sorry y'all. So, yeah, this reminds me of essentially like the inside of a decompression chamber, a boiler, or a nuclear reactor. Probably one of those three. That's what it reminds me of. But here's they have it again here. So this is the tank discharge pipe at the bottom. And so at a milk tank, you can hold 3,000 gallons in there. Tank filler pipe, air vent, viewport, and milk gauge, which I'm guessing is that there. And there comes another train. There comes another train. Let's see if I can't see it from the cupola of the Caboose. So they got busy railroad traffic here. Very busy. So let's see. We're going to see them right through there. So this is the first time I've used the Canon Rebel I got for Christmas for film. Now I know they also have a GG1, I think. Now if I'm right, I think this might be the museum that, if I remember correctly, has a British A4. I don't know if that is the case, but I could be wrong. Now let's see, there was I heard a train. Unless that may have been the Centennial that they retired, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be proven wrong when I hear a train coming, when I see a freight train just speed past. But yeah, on to the Spokane, Portland, and Seattle Caboose. Now I think there's a tunnel over here that was built in 1854. Could be wrong. Oh, hello.
Hi.
I think I came in the wrong way.
No, I think I don't know if there is a right way or a wrong way.
Oh, so this is one that was wood lined, and then they put steel on the outside. So there's an ice chest here. So yeah, they didn't have mechanical refrigerators, so that's what you had to do. Put ice in.
Yeah.
You got more torpedo fuse racks and whatnot. Cupola. Got your storage cabinet there. Another oil stove. So really this is like all the other cabooses. There's just the only thing that varies is the design. I mean, the caboose shell itself is really the same design, with maybe a few minor alterations now and again. I don't know why this thing is not recording full-length video unless I'm not seeing it and am blind, but there's the streetcar there. Now I've got to get down here without breaking my neck or my legs, so forgive me, y'all. Now we're moving up to the upper display area. Now I got to make sure I don't get hit by the streetcar here. I think you can see me, so I should be fine. There's a better look at the streetcar. I'll zoom in on him. Similar to the one I rode on in Washington, Pennsylvania. Now there's the tunnel. I think you have to have a tour guide go with you for that. I don't know if they let you in, but I wouldn't mind. I don't know if I could ask them to unlock the gate to take at least one picture of it. I don't think they'll be that gracious, because I can understand they don't want people going in now. This sucker turned 100 in 2005, so let's see, I bet Steamtown. Let's just see. They don't have they really don't have an area for you to cross. Now there's 4006 up there. Well, they don't have a place where you can cross. So, yeah. This is essentially a complete rail yard here. Oh well, you guys will get to see the streetcar pass us now. Let's see if I can't get him catch him arcing up here. I think I just got him arcing, so that's good. Now I'll walk through this stuff again. Now that stuff up there, those wood cars are probably the older cars in the collection. No, that is a dang freight train, I'll be God. What I'm curious about is, do they have stuff from the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus train, because that was retired recently. Now there's the active main line, okay. And I think that's a New York Central Niagara. I think, I could be wrong. So I'll start on this end. Now there's another piece of equipment. Now there's a streetcar there. Now that's beautiful. Now a lot of this stuff was probably retired fairly recently. I know that wasn't. That was probably retired 50 years ago. But let's see if I can't get some actual train traffic here now. Ooh, a GP9. All right. I don't know if they let you walk back here. You'd probably have to get permission But that's an old sucker, probably an MKT one if I'm not mistaken. Now let's see, because here's where the museum's trackage ends and the mainline tracks begin. Let's see, I've never gotten a BNSF stuff rate at speed. Let's see, because you can hear him, but you can't see him. So the question remains, how far away is he? And it looks like there's still telegraph poles alongside the tracks too. But you can hear the trains. You can hear them, but you can't see them. So it depends now. Where is he coming from? Because I'm trying to look for a headlight. So this might be Union Pacific or BNSF, because this is the part of the country that's served by those two railroads. Well, if it comes by, it comes by. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And there'll always be another train. That's my saying. There'll always be another train, so there's nothing to get upset about. So this was the same. So this is another Illinois Terminals Railroad electric, Class C, 1595. Then they've got more equipment here. So this is probably stuff that's sitting in the back for restoration. Now I'm curious, is that a Grand Trunk unit or a Penn Central unit? I don't think it's either. But here you can see another flat car here, and here's actually an old railroad speeder. So this is what they would use. This is what maintenance of way crews back in the early 60s and 70s, and probably even into the early 90s and 2000s would have used. I know as more equipment, better equipment came around, especially the high rail trucks, that's what retired these. Oh, so this is an older log car. I don't know what country this is from, but that coupler is not American. So that makes me wonder, is this one from Europe? I'm curious. I don't know if this was built for Europe and then exported, then brought back. I don't know. But now that sucker's been cosmetically restored. You can tell it's been recently painted. I don't know if they let you walk through this. You'd probably have to get permission. But yeah. And I see the GG1. They're hiding it in the back there. So let's go. That's probably an old piece of railroad equipment too. Oh, this is what I love about these old electrics. That snowplow probably came off an older steam locomotive. That's the thing. This is back when they built stuff like steam locomotives. Now, I bet this is the track where that streetcar is stored. So this is, so they have a few of this stuff that's restored. So this sucker was restored to a very beautiful condition. This is beautiful. There's the inside. Again, very, very beautiful. So you'd think of this as a bus, but a railroad version of it. So here is 462, number 635. Now this is another engine that was here. This is stuff they probably don't have any information on, or they just don't have the information placards on. But you can see they've got a lot of equipment just stored under here, and then they've got even more of that in that direction. We'll get to that in a minute. Now here is Canadian National 5529. And that's not a 262. I'm an absolute idiot. 462 because of the pilot trucks. Now this is a bigger 462. They have an information board underneath here, so let me see about the name. So donated in 1959, so never mind. I assumed this was something that came from the Steamtown collection, so I guess I was wrong. I know it's under video surveillance, and I know I'm filming, so I'm just saying. This is what baffles me about steam locomotives. This sucker was built for passenger use. You can tell by how big and how tall the drivers are. In fact, I'm not even standing level, and this thing is still taller than me, this drive wheel that I'm standing beside. I know 4006's drive wheels are ones I'm probably just as tall as height-wise. Now, there comes the freight, I bet. Let's see if I'm right about that. Well, I thought I heard a train coming. That's the thing, it's hard to tell. Running me between two trolleys. So St. Louis Public Service Company, City Transit, Safety, Courtesy Service, amen. 1743, so there's where you'd enter. So that sucker's still operational. Now I bet this is one of Metrolink's older acquisitions that they gave to the museum. Yeah, it is. So this was from when Metrolink got started, and then they've got a Union Electric System number 2. Locomotive Canyon. God, imagine this. And to think, 1959, this year makes that 60 years ago. Close to 70 even when you think about it. Oh man, you can see they got to give this sucker a whole new tender body too. Keep in mind this is just how thick the steel is too. Now there's GG1 number 4916, and now look at here. Now we've gotten to the old equipment. This is probably even before the early 20th century, because this is probably even before the 20th century, because you don't see the brake wheels mounted like that anymore. They're usually mounted kind of like that early one there, but nah, they would be mounted horizontally. Well, I don't know, horizontal, no, vertically, because they'd be mounted on the side like this, not like this. So that's an early electric car there. In fact, you can see that was for use in third rail operation. Then they've got a wood gondola there. Again, I don't know if they allow you to walk back here beyond this train shed, but there is more equipment here. This stuff probably may never be restored, but they've got probably another steam locomotive under there if I had to guess. Because this museum was founded before World War II ended in 1944, so it's got a lot of equipment here. So this wood stuff is probably over 100 years old. Yeah, Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Railway, and look at the paint work. That's definitely, I think, supposed to mimic 1800s. Now, I think this is an early track work maintenance vehicle. Yeah, it is. And there's GG1 number 4916, still in the black Penn Central paint, and probably later on either Conrail or Amtrak paint, because they never changed it. Another wooden flat car. So these are all the early pieces of equipment, and I'm probably going to forget about photographing it because I need to save as much battery life as I can. Alright, now they've got 2 steam locomotives here now. Oh yeah, this is an old sucker. Chicago Northwestern number 274, 1873, and it's a 440. And look at the wheel design. That's something you do not see anymore at all. And keep in mind, since it was operating out here, it didn't need a diamond stack. They've got 2 examples here. And there's the original information placard. And here's a good example right here. These engines are well over 100 years old. And then here's another one that was built much later. Yeah, so these are all 440s. In fact, this is probably one of the later ones that were built. So they've got these 2 together, showing one without a diamond stack and with a diamond stack. This is a Boston and Albany from 1876. And then here's a bigger one. So there's no information on this engine, but you can see they've got the boiler cladding removed. So you can see the boiler design. That's the thing, the American Standard design never changed at all in the 100 years of its construction. Now there's the tunnel. Here's the tunnel right here. In fact, you can see the old rock walls here. Oh yeah, they got a lot of stuff here. In fact, there's a Pennsylvania Railroad electric back here too. There's actually 3 here. Not all Pennsylvania, I don't think, but here's one of the Pensy's massive electrics. I know when they tried to move it, the rails shattered underneath it, kind of like glass. You can see they have the pantographs taken apart right here. Now you can see there's more equipment there, but there's probably no way you can get it. And I bet that might be a rail diesel car if I had to guess. Now I'm not going to stand on this track for very long at all by any means due to the streetcar. But the tunnel is right here. So no admittance into the tunnel. Okay, so they've had to close it off probably because some idiots were back here. But you can see they've actually got stuff stored in here. So West Barrett Tunnel built in. So they started work in 1851 and 1853 and they've only completed it in 1929. And they have in there the frame of a steam locomotive. I'm guessing a 440 because they wouldn't be able to fit a full-size steam locomotive in there. But you can see the light at the end. That would be nice. I wish they'd let someone walk in there. You'd probably have to get permission, like special permission. But this is, I think, the oldest known railroad tunnel that still exists. Because look at the date, 1851. That is 10 years before the Civil War started. Okay? Because 1851 to 1861 is 10 years. So that means that, yeah. And so there's 2 tunnels. I bet the other one is abandoned off in the woods somewhere. And if you look, this streetcar once ran to the very edge of the tunnel. And then they stopped it. Again, you can see the frame there. It's kind of hard to see. I don't think it comes up on camera anyway, but yeah, it's there. Speaking of which, I'll take a picture of it and include it as the thumbnail for this. Because this sucker is older than the tunnel at Tunnel Hill, okay? Or I think it is. I could be wrong. It depends on when the railroads were built. So I'm going to end this video and get my Canon Rebel out. Well, not Canon Rebel, my Canon PowerShot out and see if I can get a better picture of this. See y'all later. Okay, so there is an information about this 440. Let's see when it was built. Let's see when it was built. Missouri, Kansas, Texas, 1890 and 1923. It was donated by the Missouri, Kansas, Texas Railroad and arrived on September 25th, 1952. This is the sole remaining MKT steam locomotive. It's the sole survivor. Here's the streetcar again. Hold on to the drive rod. So yeah, let's okay, I thought he'd pulled up all the way through to the tunnel. I'm sorry. Okay, so I thought that they pulled up into the tunnel, so my bad. Now there's where they have the track pulled up. I don't know why they have, I guess they use that to try and keep their other equipment that they just don't have room for out of the weather. Not that it's doing a good job. The water leaking down would do more damage to that thing than anything else would. Alright. So that's amazing. Now there's, so you can see the design here is essentially like the General and the Texas. Now I'm guessing they've removed everything that would have been something that people would want to steal, which is good. Very good, actually. Now there's the catenaries. Now you can see the insulators are porcelain. Now let me just see. Yeah, look at this old stonework here too. You don't see that anymore. Yeah, it was right, a rail diesel car. Now this is just other rows of equipment here. I don't know if this was a Pennsylvania diesel or what. There was like no writing on it at all. But this is where they've got extra equipment stored. What they should have done is put the train shed roof over the entire collection. And you know what? I think this may have been an old bridge. I could be wrong, but you see what looks like the abutments for one. So that might be an old railbed right there. Who knows? Who knows? Because it did say they had to bypass these tunnels during World War II, so that's when they were retired. So yeah, these were retired the same year the museum was founded. Okay, so now let's head back to the other thing. Now here's information regarding, okay, so this must be the Pennsylvania stuff. 4,700. So this was donated in 1966. So this is a few years before the failed Penn Central merger came about. So that's good. You can see they've got early wooden equipment over there that's rotting because it's not protected. Now here's 4916. GG1 4916. Let's see so this, okay, so I was right. And look here, guys. So this was one of the units that made it from Pennsylvania to Amtrak to Penn Central. Now there's the L where the paint is peeled off. In fact, yeah, right there. L A R Did he just get another streetcar? I think he did. I could be wrong. Either that or it's the same one. But guys, you can see the faded lettering where they patched the Penn Central name over after Conrail was formed. Because Conrail really abolished electric freight in 1980. A mistake. That was a mistake. But you can see CLARTC, and then of course the pen was PENN, and then there was when they had the numbers they had up there. So that's amazing. You can see the remnants of two railroads. The paint was probably sandblasted off afterwards, but you can see the frame here and underneath. Look at that. Again, here's this early electric. That's probably not going to be preserved for a while. Now they've got another, I guess, reefer there, which is pretty much rusting out as we speak. I really hope they can get all of this equipment preserved. I know that may not be possible, but it'd be nice. There's a bit of paint, but not much. Probably where they had a plaque. If I had to guess, this is something that probably came from New Jersey or something. I could be wrong because I know a lot of the early commuter operations used these old cars. Even back in like the 60s and early 70s, I think. Because yeah, look at the lights. I think those lights were put in afterwards. And you can see that's the original brake wheel that would have been mounted to where it would have been standing up instead of being mounted on the side. So here's this other car. So I bet this may be their most recent acquisition. So this was Southern Pacific lines here. Oh no, Missouri Pacific actually, because you can see the rusted out name there. 1155 MR reporting mark. Yeah, and there is another steam locomotive right here. And from what it looks like, it may have had a streamlined body. Question is, was it a fireless cooker? So evidently, if you can, so yeah, you can walk right in there. There's enough space for that. So I'm going to do that real quick just to see. I don't think that was a fireless unit, but it might just, it may not be a fireless unit, but you never know. Yeah, you can walk right there. You just got to get past the debris they've got. I think you can walk back there. I could be wrong. So yeah. Yeah, Illinois Terminal. $15.95. I know, guys, I'm going to get to that, but I think that'll probably be saved for last. I guess you could walk back here. Technically, it is part of the museum. They just don't want you climbing on it because of the condition it's in, and I don't blame them. I wouldn't climb on this either. Okay, so this might be from a steel mill, to be honest. That is probably what, yep. Or no, actually, this isn't, so this isn't even electric. This is Union Electric System number 2. You wouldn't think they would have kept, you wouldn't have thought they would, an electric railway would have kept a steam locomotive on hand. And so that up there must be its tender. Now there's some gondola cars. Oh, that's cute. Alright, that's cute. Look here, y'all. Look here. I guess that's a reference to Barry's Scrapyard. Okay, so that might just be a Penn Central diesel. Because the R looks like it's in the old Penn Central livery. Alright, so let's get out of here. I don't want to get in trouble. Oh, so they named the engine Norman. Wow, Norman, you don't look too good, man. You got to go to the doctor, man. I'm just kidding. So this is an, yeah, so this is an 060. It's another switcher. So this must have been used either around where they had the shops or something else. I don't know. And this is a unit where you'd have to stand literally right beside the boiler. Look at the firebox. That's a that's a very tiny firebox for a big steam locomotive. I'm not gonna lie. Cause look at the boiler. And there's the firebox. I guess that was also back when really proportion didn't really matter too much. I don't know. I am curious. I'm going to ask about the unit back here. Number, let me look at the number so I don't forget. 5877. I'll have to look. Because that could be Penn Central, could be Conrail, it could be Missouri, Kansas, and Texas. Who knows? I need to have information at least in front of the unit so you could tell. But it looks to be a GP design type model, probably from the early, probably a first generation diesel, if I had to guess. But you can see they've taken all of what would have been taken off by vandals, so that's good. I'm glad they're keeping those pieces safe somewhere in storage. Alright, so now we're coming to the New York Central. Okay, so do they have that so you can watch trains? One wonders. Okay, now we're coming up to the early passenger diesels too. Now let's see if my corrections about this being a night. I think this was, I don't even think this is a Mohawk. I think it's a Niagara. I could be wrong because this is actually the first New York Central steam locomotive I've ever seen. 2933. Okay, so it is a Mohawk. Okay. And its restoration was complete in 2013, so it's beautiful. Coupler knuckle. And I want to save the big boy for last. So evidently that must have been, that horn I heard must be for probably right here actually. I could be wrong. Let me look. So yeah, this must be a train platform because I'm here standing up beside it and there's an unobstructed view. Or it was one. Alright, let's get down here without breaking my neck. There we go. So we're nearing the end here. Well, not even the end. There's still a whole other train shed to go through. So this is going to probably be well over 20 parts, between 8 to 10 minutes, depending on however long this thing is able to record. I wouldn't have used my phone either way because of the fact it's so hot and the battery would get drained from that. Aerotrain USA, so I wonder, Olympics maybe? I don't know, I'm curious now because they blocked out all the windows. Oh, so this must have been an exhibit train. Yeah, it is. Oh, art train. So this was a rolling art exhibit. That's genius. Alright, so now over here we've got some maintenance of way equipment as well as another steam locomotive. Actually, yeah. So this must be being restored, so yeah, I'll pass. Yeah, those are telegraph lines. Sorry, I'm taking my hat off so I don't sweat to death. Yeah, so this was essentially for the arts. That's ingenious. That's the... Why they don't do this again is beyond me. I'd love to see a rolling art. I'd love to see an art train. So there's some more reefers. So they've got enough rolling stock if they wanted to. If they got an operator, if they ever made their own rail line, they could do a photo freight with all the equipment if it was restored. Okay. They've got a ton of steam locomotives. I know that much. If you ever wanted to see, well, if someone ever wondered what the well, if anyone has ever wondered about what it looked like at the end of steam, this is an example. This could technically be considered like a kind of deadline if you think about it. There's a DM and IR 484, I think. I could be wrong. No, it's not a 484. So here's another U.S. Army diesel, 2069. Rather interesting name, and it's being shunted by this tiny thing. A dinky in comparison to this 3-axle brute. Illinois Central. Number 764. Built 4 years after Casey Jones died. And I think they got a camp car there, or a work car for a work train. They got the doghouse up there on the tender for the brakeman. So Duluth Mesabi on Iron Range number 502. And it's a 210-2. So this is odd because well, not odd, I didn't know they had a 210-2 because a lot of the train documentaries I've seen that have archival film of the railroad show it's Yellowstone locomotives. The massive articulateds they used in ore train service. And you can tell this wasn't really a passenger locomotive. I think the wheel diameter tells you that. Oh, and you could go in this thing here before they closed it, so yeah, yeah, so you could go up here at one point, not anymore though, so I can understand why. So this was a Missouri, Kansas, and Texas work cart, I think. Okay, here we go. Here's the rolling stock. So here's the inside of the boxcar here. Alright, so I gotta go walk back because you can't go through everything. I don't even know if they let you walk in between the equipment like that. I don't think that's the case. But a lot of these locomotives you can't even see because there's no way to really see them unless you walk out here. I love though how the only thing that's polished on 502 is the bell. That's funny. And essentially at the end of steam, this is what they would do. They'd just shove engines into the sidings however they were found, however, in whatever direction they were facing when the fires were dropped. Of course, this is not the 1950s and these engines are preserved, which is good. And you can see, I think they're trying to work on it. They just have part after part laying here though. So this one was cosmetically restored. In fact, I'm wondering if this tender came off an NNWA class. I doubt it, but when you look at it, it makes you wonder. Because NNW did take a lot of earlier tenders and use them for other steam locomotives. There's a Burlington route E-unit. Okay, so they closed this off, so I've got to go walk around now. So I'll end the video and start it back once I'm around. Alright, so I'm back where I was earlier. In fact, here's a tool car that was donated by Union Pacific for maintenance of way service. In fact, who knows, maybe in the early days of the steam era, or not steam era, steam fleet, this was probably in use. I think that might be an old MU there. And I love they got tenders from other railroads. Let's see. They got a lot of this where you can't even really see anything though. That's the problem. Like a lot of these rows, yeah, you can't even see all this. That's the problem. Unless you're daring and want to walk through all this. But there's passenger cars, freight cars, diesels, you name it, they got it. And this sucker is full of them. Holy Toledo. And I know they have other pieces here, including planes and automobiles, but I'm here for the trains, okay? And they got more reefers, a lot of them actually. Here's more diesels. They got more steam engines here too, but I don't know how you get in here. They got an old wigwag crossing here. Okay, so never mind. You can go up here. They've got a car from American Steel. Now let's see, does this wigwag work? Because I've never seen one in operation before, so that would be neat to see. Now I'm going to record with this camera until its battery is slap dead. They've got an Erie Lackawanna unit there, as well as a Centennial diesel beside the big boy. They've got a lot of engines here. And there's a Missouri Pacific RS1, so that's what that is. Alright, so we might get to see this thing run now. Let's see. Let's see. Well, is it going to work, or do they have it hooked up? Okay, I guess not. Well, dang. I thought the thing was wired up. Evidently it's not. So that's unfortunate. So evidently they don't have a sensor. That'd be so nice if they had that thing to where it worked. Oh well, let's go back up here and see what we got to see. Honestly, there's more trains that you could film, really. Because there's some in rows underneath this train shed that you can't even really get to at all safely. And this is also the museum where N&W 2156 was displayed. Well, I'll be God. They do have a Yellowstone, I think, and they got it to where you could walk up into the cab of 5011. Yeah, so that operates just like at Washington, Pennsylvania. So they got an education rail car about when they had, when they taught people about the railroads, unlike now. Now there's 3607, a former Erie Lackawanna unit. And then there's Big Boy 4006, and you can go up into the cab. I've seen a Big Boy before, 4012 in Steamtown. So this will be the first one where I've ever been able to enter the cab. So that's going to be neat to see. There's a lot of, heck, these are a lot of steam locomotives that I have never seen before until today. Then they have a CNO unit. And so they've got all the lights on in these suckers. So that'll be neat to see. And there's a plane flying overhead. Again, you can just see the sheer size of this unit of this sucker. That'd be neat if they hooked a compressed air whistle up to that thing like 4014 had done. That'd be nice. So there's 2727. That's Chesapeake in Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. And then here's Santa Fe 5011, and they've got they've got a lot of stuff here. I guess that must have been a replica. Oh, so you can ring the bell. I have enough bells that have been rung, so I think I'm fine. But you can see, they really, what they should do is have all the equipment really displayed in terms of what it is. You know, all passenger cars, multi-use cars, freight cars, all those should be displayed separately. All steam locomotives should be displayed together in order of the railroads. And same with diesels and electrics. And here's the inside of the cab. Now look at this. On my back is, yeah, so this sucker burned oil. All Santa Fe locomotives, I think, burned oil before being retired. So yeah, you can see just how complex this sucker is. Can you open the firebox? No, you can't. It's a shame seeing all these gauges dead. But then again, there's not much you can do. And this is one of these superpower locomotives which had the super heaters inside the boiler. I don't know if you can go inside the cab with this centennial. I doubt it. We'll just have to see. I'm curious if they let you in the cab of almost all the locomotives over here. So I'm guessing these are the ones they've restored enough to where you can walk in the cab, and that's not. No. No. They should know, they should get new steel welded on. They shouldn't have to use foam. It's a shame. But I know it's a pain to keep these things cared for. I know especially after they're retired. Oh, didn't mean to hit that thing. I didn't mean to hit it that hard. My bad, sorry. But yeah, you can see that's sheet metal there, really. Oh, that's neat. I'm so, okay, I'm glad they saved that now. Oh my God, they have the General Motors demonstration diesels. That's amazing. Alright, that's great. Is that a Camelback? Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western. Let's see. Yep, it's a Camelback. But I hate it. You can't see any of the equipment that's... I hate it. You can't see the equipment that's further back. That's the problem. But look at that. That's neat. I've heard of those suckers. But yeah, they've got the GM demonstrator A unit and B unit. So that's neat. That's what began the beginning of the end for all this. What? Okay, you can... So they have this... So they have specific pieces that they're restored for you to climb on. And this sucker was in service for, oh my God, 102 years. Pretty well built car. Well, it says it's not open to the public, but the lights are on. Look at the inside of that thing. It's immaculate. It's beautiful. Now let's get down here before I get in trouble. If it's not open to the public, then don't have the stools out. That's what I say. 1904. Here's a rail bus. And then they've got steam locomotives galore on either side of it. And here's the steam locomotive every one of us rail fans wants to see brought back. Frisco 1522. Last run was in 2002, and that's an excursion service. It's a shame. I was only 2 years old when they stopped running this thing. It's a shame. So there's the frame. But you can see they could run the engine again, who knows. It's only been well, because the last run turned 10 years back in 2012. So really, if they wanted to, they could still bring this thing back. If they wanted to. But now here's all the passenger equipment, and there's the diesel. So this is a Burlington unit, E8, 9939. They got more diesels behind there. And I think they have a gas turbine locomotive here too somewhere. But I'm glad they've got passenger equipment from all these railroads that would have served St. Louis. Because yeah, there was 22 railroads that serviced this town, and I know that. The depot the size of the depot alone proves that. Oh, so this is from the Reading. And what's interesting here is that this sucker, it's a 222. So they had a kid operate this. He should be lucky. But look at that. That's amazing. It's a shame you can't go in. So that's a... this was for vinegar. And you can tell because it's wood. So this was only one of 2 left in existence. So they've got a lot of rare equipment here. And here's the unit that essentially ended steam. And my battery is dead, so the video ends here, and I will be switching over to the power shot to continue the tour. Alright, so I've moved the recording over to the power shot camera due to the Rebel's battery dying. So yeah, this is the demonstrator unit built by Locomotive Division. And this is essentially what brought the end to steam after this thing proved successful. And you can see this is probably the original diesel engine inside the thing. In fact, look here. Yeah. So this was a 4-unit set. So I bet the other 2 units are probably preserved somewhere else. So this is an Illinois Central dynamometer test car, or whatever it's called. And here's a Union Pacific U-boat, which they have taken the body off of, actually, which is neat. So this is the first U-boat I've ever seen in preservation. This is a U-28C, and they have removed the car body off so you can see the engine. So here we go. So this is the equipment blower. This is a giant cooler for the equipment. Auxiliary generator and exciter. Traction generator. Governor. Exhaust manifold, cylinder heads, diesel engine crankshaft block, camshaft, excuse me. Interior cooler, crankshaft. Lube oil filter, that's for lubrication for the engine. And then you've got the air compressor and the radiator fan. Okay, and so they've got a Nickel Plate Road Berkshire and a Chesapeake and Ohio Berkshire. Side by side, well, hooked up together, excuse me. Charles H. That's a tiny sucker. 1893, so this is probably the, yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So it was used in elevated train service in New York and Chicago from 1878 to 1903. Or well, not 1878 to 1903, but it's one of the types that were used from that period. It carried anthracite coal, that's what it burned. Son of John Deere, ironically. It went to Upper Michigan Lumber and Chemical Companies. It went to Texas Iron and Chemical Firm, went to Mexico in 55, and it was donated in 57. So who knows, this might be the only locomotive of its type in preservation, who knows. So here's the Missouri Pacific passenger car, or observation car number 750. I love this, they got all the observation cars here. That's amazing, you don't even see this anymore. Can you walk in? Let me see. They have this open. Oh, no, they don't. Never mind. Well, I got the lights on at least, so that counts. Gulfmobile in Ohio. That's what amazes me about all this equipment. So I think, if I'm right, they've got almost every railroad that would have come in. I think they've got equipment and rolling stock from every railroad that would have come into St. Louis Union Station. I'll have to ask an employee about that, because a train station that would have 42 platforms in it is pretty dang amazing. And by the way, this is the exact length of the running board you have here alongside the engine. That was the body there that would have extended all the way here. There would have been air intakes here and on top for the equipment. I'm glad Union Pacific chose to donate this engine instead of just scrapping it, because there's not many of these U-boats in preservation. I think there's only a blessed few that are. Let me see, I'm going to turn my camera off and see if you can see inside the cab. Can you open the windows? I doubt it. No, you can't, but you can see a bit inside the cab there. We're on the conductor's side though, so that's the thing. Engineer side is on that side. Yeah, and headlights and number boards. But you can see the iconic front design of the sand dome there, 2804. Really, they should have put the museum inside the St. Louis Union Station, to be honest. That was my opinion. But then again, if they did do that, then they wouldn't never have gotten the tunnel. Now the last train I do want to film is the Aerotrain, and there's a barn lower down the hill that I think has more equipment. So they have a Nickel Plate Road Berkshire and this C&O Berkshire. Yeah, it's in the back. Yeah, and I was right, Chesapeake and Ohio. And it's a 284, and the Berkshires were the exact same design. And then they have 9081, That's the Union Pacific rotary snowplow. And Union Pacific still has one of those things as part of its heritage fleet, even though it doesn't run. Ooh, well, wait a minute now. A Berkshire with Mohawk side panels? There is no way. 170. What is the story of this? I know the Mohawk would have side panel smoke deflectors. Oh, it's not a Berkshire. My mistake. I am so sorry, y'all. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. It's a 462. So this is a 462. I was thinking it was a Berkshire. I am an absolute idiot. I am an absolute idiot indeed. I am so sorry. Let's see. What's the story of this? So it was donated in 1957. So a lot of these engines were donated during or shortly after the end of steam. So a lot of these engines, when they were donated, were ones, I guess the railroad decided to retire before retiring the rest of their steam fleets. The Centennial's behind the snowplow, and if I'm right, I think the gas turbine's behind that. I'll have to look. So now I'm going to go into the cab of 4006. This will be the second big boy I've ever seen and the first big boy I've been able to see where I'm able to go inside the cab. So this is a first for me. Let's freaking do this. And I'm going to have a hard time trying to label the parts of this, all the videos for this. Pretty dress. So yeah, you can ride the streetcar here. But you can see this is one of the few big boys that didn't have its cylinders torched off. So they could have a potential parts source here. And what's funny about the Centennial diesels, and what's interesting about this is that the Centennials diesels that were built that have 4 engines are essentially the diesel equivalent of the big boy, because it's essentially, well, it'd be an 0880 if you think about it, because there's no real trailing truck. But here is the coal bunker, and you've got the Archimedes screw there for the automatic stoker. Have fun labeling all this, boys. Look at this. There's the Centennial. But look at this. This is insane. This is about as big as they come. And I'm glad that now there's an operating example running in Cheyenne. So they got everything labeled pretty much. Reverse gear, defroster, headlight switch. Yeah, you got 1,000,000 miles on this thing? Yeah, pretty dang good for a steam locomotive if we got 1,000,000 miles. Let's see inside the firebox. I wish someone had a light so I could see. That's what they need to do. They need to have a light in here. And you know something funny? I think it still smells of coal dust, as crazy as it sounds, because when I just looked my head in there, well, I smelled coal dust. So yeah, this is the butterfly doors. You can't move them. But that is amazing, and you can see just how big the boiler is. You can't even reach the top. No one is as tall as this is. So that's what's amazing. Now let's see if the Centennial's cab is open. I doubt it. No, it's not. Dang it. That'd be nice. But you can see this is the diesel equivalent of the big boy that's here beside me on the left. And I love it. They've got two snow plows, a UP rotary in the front, and is that a Missouri Pacific wedge plow? Oh no, that's a cotton belt route plow. Okay. So hey, Nicholas, or as you're known on or was formerly known on YouTube as Cotton Belt SD40T. There you go, man. Cotton belt route. But look at this sucker, 6944. And they do have planes. I'll probably, I might just record all that. But if the car displays have like copyrighted music playing, then I'm not going to record in there. I might take photos. So yeah. Oh well, that makes you wonder. No, I'm kidding. You can't walk up there. It'd be nice if they had where you could peer into the cab, but I know that's not the case. Well, I thought they had a gas turbine on display here. I guess not. I'm guessing that's probably at the Illinois Railroad Museum. I must have gotten my nut wires crossed. Oh. Glad I didn't walk across now. Yeah. So I might ride the streetcar now. I'm gonna let my grandma LB know that I'm gonna be riding the car. I'll be back. I may be getting on in a minute. I'm just gonna let my grandmother know. So yeah, that's a CNO Berkshire, and then behind it is one of the nickel plate road, well not Berkshires, but a nickel plate road steam locomotive. And there's some pretty flowers. I don't know why they appear white, because they're purple, I think. I was going to get on the streetcar, and that nickel plate road engine wasn't a Berkshire, it's a 462. I let him know that I just needed to let you know that I was coming. Well, it only goes in a giant... Well, it only goes in a giant circle, so I don't think I'd be leaving you to it. I don't think I'd be leaving you. I'd just be going in a circle. I'm going to ask if there's anywhere where I could ride. Well, I'm curious. I don't know if they'll let you film in the front.
Wait, ask your questions when we come back and everybody else gets off.
There was a diesel that was parked at the very end of the train shed there on the right-hand side of the property. It was number, I think, 5811 or 5877. I can't remember. Oh. So the train shows up now.
That's it. You hear it.
Probably BNSF or Union Pacific.
That's what you were hearing. You got to hear it twice. Not the steps are high.
Well, I know. It's like in Washington, PA. So that must be a power move by the sound of it. It's nice to have a museum that has a operational railroad.
If you want to run up to the shop?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay, yeah.
Back in a minute.
I love the hat.
Ah, thank you. It's from a group in Brazil.
I love that the ads are all streetcars and all. It's funny, I went to a museum that was made solely for streetcars in Washington, Pennsylvania, and the cars had period ads in them.
Oh yeah, if you want to see a good one, you go to Seashore Travel Museum. Same thing with Western Railway Museum in California.
I'm curious, I saw an early diesel that wasn't under the train shed roof over there on the far end of the property. Was it former Penn Central?
631.
I think it was 5711. I'll have to look back at my videos. That moment, even the streetcar operator has to take a break for real quick. That's alright.
Between the heat and standing for hours. Yeah.
And the humidity. That'd just knock just about anybody out, wouldn't it?
Hey,
look at the Whitson line and see if that's moving here to the right of the trolley, that sign, what's it say?
I'm curious about the Aerotrain that's at the bottom of the hill. Do you have to have permission to go see that, or?
I think so. In the past, it's always been just walk up to it.
Do you want the hat to get out?
It has something around
It's
it.
gonna stand.
Apparently, my grandmother said you had to have special permission to go see it or something.
Never heard that. It used to be right up here by the hill, and anybody could go up to it.
Car's 105 years old. Built in 1914 here in St. Louis. By the St. Louis There's an aerial shot. And there's an aerial shot just down here of the company in 1946. It's no longer there. It was located in the Baden neighborhood. So this car was built in St. Louis. It was also used here, although it was not used on the public line. It was used for basically in private for the St. Louis Water Works. So it transported employees back and forth to work from more or less where the public line ended up to where their employment was on their property. You may have noticed when you came in that the steps are very steep. That's not just because OSHA wasn't around then, that's how they did stuff back then, or they had longer legs. It was for practical purposes. So this car was not just to transport employees back and forth, it also worked as an engine so it could move other cars around. So it has couplings at both ends. And to accommodate the couplings, the floor has to be higher. So we can connect other cars. So thus the floor is higher, thus there's more space. So this was even an anomaly back in 1914. Are there any questions at this point?
How long was the car in service for?
The car was in service until
About
mid-1955.
1955.
Oh, wow.
First, they took them out of service in the 30s and used buses. But then during the war, when there was rationing for fuel and rubber for tires, they put the streetcars back in service. And they ran until about 55. Then they were permanently retired.
We're going to get going in a minute. We just have a couple safety rules or requests. Please stay seated while the car is in motion. It does lurch back and forth, so we don't want anyone to slip. And also what you see is mostly original. So the wood's fairly old, it's brittle. So please don't stand or put your feet up on the seats because the slats could crack very easily and then could cause splinters, and then that just adds to our paperwork at the end of the day. When we stop, there's going to be a couple times we're going to stop. If you want to switch seats at that point, feel free. The other thing is to not put anything out the window that you want to take home with you. We have an awesome restoration group here, but they haven't quite figured out how to restore body parts.
Or cameras, I'm sure.
Or cameras, we don't do cameras.
Hence the bars on the windows, right?
Right, so we're going to head out. We're going to go around the loop a couple times. We're going to go down the barracks tunnel, make a stop, come back, go back down again. The last leg of the trip is going to bring you right back here to the platform and drop you off. The total trip takes approximately 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as we stop. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy the Victorian air conditioning, which you will notice as soon as the car starts moving.
Welcome to Victorian AC, our highly trained professional, our team of highly professional and trained engineers. There's the front of the rotary plow there. There's the other side of the Centennial, number 6944. There's the planes there. We got a lot of them actually. There's the barge you can go into. That'll be neat. So I get to see a ship, a train, plenty of trains. I'm going to see a boat. Yeah, I'm going to just do all of it. There's a U.S. Steel switcher, probably a 44 to 45 tonner. There's the New York Central Niagara, or Mohawk, excuse me, that's over there, 2933, one of I think only two in preservation. There's the tunnel. It's up there, and then there's the building I walked through for the past 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe even hours, I don't even know. I wasn't keeping track of time. And there is the tunnel that I've recorded, yeah, there's the tunnel with the steam engine frame in it.
Stop here because we literally run out of usable track. We don't have enough space to lay track down here to turn around, so luckily this car operates from both ends. So all we have to do is change the flow direction. The car runs on electricity, so what you hear is not our engine, it's our air compressor for the airplane.
There's the other exhibits down there that I recorded. I'm so tickled to have a Georgia Railroad locomotive here. Yeah, the tunnel was built in 1851, like I said, 10 years before the Civil War. What's under these floor plates here?
This is access to the motors in the trucks.
Ah, easier for maintenance.
Double track that they lay through the area. So it doesn't go through a tunnel, it just goes from St. Louis through Kirkwood to Kansas City. And at the end of the shed, if you went right, you'll see there's a chain link fence. You can walk up to it, you can watch the trains go through, you'll see the freight trains. And
yeah, I noticed alongside the tunnel there was like a support thing alongside the hill. I'm curious. I was wondering if that may have been like an old railroad trestle or something.
No, there's no trestle. The tunnel actually used to be a little bit longer. They cut it back into the hillside. And put the concrete.
So they did not only build train cars or trolley cars or trolley parks, they dabbled in a lot of different things. Trams being that one special project, but they also tried their hand at automobiles and were not terribly successful. They also handled, as did a lot of other companies during the war, they had government contracts, and one of the things that they built was airplanes to educate or train the pilots to fly. So that was one of the things they did. We're going to head back out. We're going to make a quick safety stop before we head into the loop. We're not going to stay there. We're going to come through the loop, stop here one more time to switch direction, and then we're going to head back to the platform and drop you off. So, sit back and enjoy the ride.
I'm curious, where did that track used to go there? Off to the left.
That siding's over here.
Oh. There's the displays I walked through earlier today. It's funny, I was hoping that wigwag was operational because I've never seen one run before. Why not? There's a turntable down there. So yeah, they've got more stuff than the law allows. There's a smaller steam engine down there that I'm going to see if I can walk up to. Same with the boat. I love that. That's got to be an old tug there. Yeah, and I'm going to keep the recordings to a minimum at this point. Did y'all go into the big boy's cab?
Yeah.
You know, 4014 is operational now.
Is it?
Yeah. There's videos of it on YouTube. Just look up on YouTube Union Pacific 4014.
Cool. We'll have to do that.
That'd be amazing to see a Mohawk in operation. I know a lot of rail fans would want to see that, but at the same time, I know that is really not possible. I don't think New York would even want to see locomotives back, which is a shame. But, you know, oh well.
One last quick stop before we get back. I hope you enjoyed your ride with us so far. I hope I can move this well when I'm 105.
Ooh,
Nolan
I'm guessing the bell still works.
and we're part of a separate group of college volunteers that's affiliated with part of the museum. So if it's on Facebook, our relationship is going to be complicated. But basically, they let us use the land, our track down to run the trolleys and play with the big toys. They pay for the electricity. But basically, that's all the funding that we get from the museum. So this is one of 4 cars that we operate here. The restore car like this costs anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, which is several times the original, price that it cost when it was bought new. And there are money pit to maintain as well. And there's currently one in the restoration shed that's almost finished being painted. It's a Philadelphia Streetcar, and it's green. There's a St. Louis car that's at the end of the shed here that's basically a cream and red color that has a broken axle issue. And as with all parts of vehicles like this, we can't just go to AutoZone and pick up a spare part. They have to be specially made or especially procured, and it's the time and labor issue. There's also a Chicago elevated car, which is behind.
Oh, so it was a Chicago elevated car. My bad. I thought it was Metrolink. I'm an idiot.
Basically a St. Louis
Never mind.
streetcar components underneath, and it was rebuilt to look like an elevated car for Chicago, from Chicago, rebuilt and sent back. So there's an issue with that as well. So basically, this is a labor of love for us. It's more fun when there's people on board like this, but we would probably drive our cars around in circles all day anyway. But, we enjoy sharing this. We basically look at this as a museum on wheels. It's heritage. You can go to Six Flags and have a fun ride, but you're never going to find anything like this nearby. So we don't collect any fares. There's no charge for the ride, but there still is a fare box on board, and we do accept donations. And anything that you can spare is greatly welcomed, and every penny goes towards restoration projects or other parts of, our effort to keep, things like this alive and going. We also look for volunteers. The only real requirement is that you're 18 and have a driver's license. Otherwise, there's no special skills that we ask of. We just ask that you have interest, and they will train you to do whatever it is that you're interested in trying out. Besides operating the cars, we have people who work in the restoration building, and basically, tearing the cars down, rebuilding them, repairing them when they break down. We have a crew that lays the track and repairs the track. There's many, there's a number of different opportunities, and they're happy to train you. If you have any questions about that, you can see Noel or I afterwards. We'll just talk to you about that. Are there any questions before we head back out to the platform to let you off? All right.
No.
I'm surprised the steam locomotive from Georgia made it all the way out here. I'm referring to the one that's primer red at this point. I'm guessing it's being restored to its Georgia Railroad blue. Well, I could see the inside of the cab and the tender were painted blue. And we're referring to that one there. It's nice to see a small Georgia Railroad steam engine. I've only seen one other one, and it's in Augusta. And it's a much bigger engine, and I think it's the only one left of its class. So, that's nice. I'm curious about the Mississippi River Tugboat. How'd y'all acquire that? Didn't exactly come by rail, I'm sure.
I'm not quite sure about that. There are some other hostess up here that I can see if I can find them for you. They can tell you more about that.
It's alright.
So we were going to get on the running train.
I found the 2 cars that were made for a rolling art exhibit. I found that interesting. When did that take place?
So we'll get on over. I guess I'll put you up at one of the hostess up there. They know more about that stuff than I do.
Alright. Here's the controls for the streetcar. Not really rather basic when you think about it. So yeah, that's the end of this video. See y'all later, and I'll be continuing this at the tugboat now. Alright, so I've gotten done with everything up here at the main museum yard. I still have the Aerotrain to record, but this is the Panama Canal locomotive which was built by GE, as evident by the builder's plate. 662. And there's a boat over here and some planes I want to check out. So Jesse, you're technically getting included. There's the lower half of the museum, and there's a building that the Aerotrain's beside, and it has more equipment in it. But you never know, that could have been a period freight train. It would have just been much longer. Now up ahead there they have a tank engine up there. It's probably an 060 or an 040, and they have a boat up there too, which I want to check out. And there they have a turntable base. So yeah, let's just go then. I've got a lot of video to recover. Because I've got footage on my Rebel and the Power Shot. So you want to say I did it all? By God, I'm going to say I did it all. I love the boat. The question is, can you go down into the engine room? If there even is one anymore, I doubt it. Can you go in this little sucker? I think you can. McLeody Christie, number 2. Now see, Steamtown could restore this kind of engine to operation. That's the thing, they need to restore the smaller equipment first before moving on to the big stuff. Oh yeah, you can see this sucker wasn't big at all. They could restore this. Not a good plan, because that would damage the engine. In fact, it's mostly fused. Yeah, let's head over to the boat. And they've got a plane here too. It's like, yes, yes, don't make a fuss. I'm just a plane. It's amazing. Oh, okay, so so 1933, and it was donated in 1986. Okay, so they basically rebuilt it from the hull up. So 1932, 2032 is going to make this sucker 100 years old. It was the first tugboat to be welded. And Jesse, I know how you like airplanes. Here you go, man. Hope you're happy. I'll be photographing this thing. In fact, I'll do that right now. Because I want to get another video for the boat. Well, actually, you know what? Screw it. stand on the hill to get the shot. It's only appropriate to get as high as you can to film a plane. Alright, so let's get on the boat. Yeah, and there was an employee who told me they took the plane apart and then brought it in by helicopter. That's not bad for a plane for a last flight. Oh sure, buddy, just keep on damaging that thing, why don't you? Permission to come aboard? Aye. Ship ahoy. It's like ship ahoy. Very tiny door. It's locked. Can you go up to the bridge? That's my question. Ah, so the engine room is down here. Engine room, full ahead. I'm just kidding. So that's literally all there is. Wow. So you can't go up to the bridge. I guess there's nothing in there then. So I'm sure it probably would have been like, bridge access. Well, wait a minute now, hold on. Well, there's nothing saying I can't be up here, so I mean, I guess it's okay. Okay. So there's the inside of the bridge. That'd be neat if they had it to where it was connected to the rudders and the rudders still turned. That'd be nice. Alright, let's go to see the Aerotrain. Alright, so we're now in the car museum that's here on the museum grounds. And as you can see, they have got cars from pretty much the beginning of the auto age into the 70s. And they are beautiful, like no joke. So yeah, I'm gonna have to try and keep talking here because I don't want the video to get taken down to like a copyright claim due to the music. So yeah. So yeah, that sucker looks cool as all get out. I love it. The design alone isn't unique. Alright, that would have been neat if that had have worked. That must have been the original concept for the museum. Or it might be a redevelopment, and I hope that's the case. But where did they get a European locomotive? That looks neat. I wonder why didn't they keep that? Oh well, beats me. Alright, look at all this. That's cool. That's like the DeLorean before it became the DeLorean, but you can see that's from the 70s. That has to be from the 70s. Oh no, 1980. That's from 1980. Look at this. Auto Central. Terry, this is your place, man. And I'm referring to my mom's mother's husband, I think. Well, I think that's the case, or whatever, but yeah. He would love this. Look at this. Don't make them like this anymore. Oh, let me get, yep, Hearst, 1890. How to bury your dead in style, evidently. You can see here. Yeah, let's see. You can see like all the cars here. They're from varying eras. That's what I like about it. Studebaker? That's the Studebaker, I could tell by the front.
Yep. Look at the inside of the cabin.
I'm surprised they don't have a car that's the same model as any of that were used in Driving Miss Daisy. I'm surprised they don't have one. But yeah. Doesn't get any more 60s than this. I know they used like a Hudson. But yeah. See, this is what I mean. I wish they would come out. I wish the car companies now would come out with these paint colors again, because a lot of people, I mean, I know they would never probably do any of the interiors again, but you never know. They could try maybe for like a heritage design as far as the painting is concerned. But yeah. I don't know, unless they have a music thing upstairs, I can't tell. Oh, well, what do you know? 1915 Ford, and look what's beside it.
Yes, look at that.
That's kind of ironic. Beginning of the end for train travel. Yeah, I saw it.
Now, we used to have, when I first got married, we had a 57 Chevy, and it was that aqua color down there. It wasn't a Bel Air, but it was like that. Had a leak in the radiator, and we put golf teeth in there and stopped the road.
You don't see bridges like that anymore. Where is...
That's Route 66. When we get to Oklahoma City, we'll go over. Once we get to Jan's, we'll go out to Potts, and we'll ride down a section of Route 66.
Wait, Papa B's?
No. The name of the store is Potts.
Oh, is it a general store?
No, they sell all kinds of drinks, Cokes, all kinds of soft drinks, root beer.
Well, that's what I mean. Was it a soda fountain or an old general store?
No, neither one. It only sells, now like a big convenience store.
Oh.
It sells all different kinds of.
Oh, so it's Soda Central.
Yeah.
I love that they recreated an old motel. Don't see this anymore. That died off like how, that's like passenger service. Those died out after the interstates were built.
Go back there and see that.
I saw them. That's got to be, that car and that car have got to be the most unique ones I've seen.
I love that right there, that's bronze color. I think.
Now that's a car, that color they need to come back out with.
Well, Kia has come out with something almost that color. It has a little more orange.
But that's right there is just amazing. I don't know how practical it was. That's the one of a kind.
Okay.
It's got to be.
Oh, it was Bobby Dare's dream car. Gotcha.
He donated it to the museum 3 years before his death. Now, Mimi's husband Terry would love this, and look at that. You don't even see that window design in any car anymore. And keep in mind, this is probably one of the only ones like it. So, yeah. Pretty much it. So, see y'all later. Okay, so here's the Aerotrain. I don't know if there was more than one, or if this was the only one, but yeah, I thought there was a lot more cars. Evidently, they have the rest of the train stored, but I can see why it's in bad shape. You can see some more equipment back there, but I'm only here for the front of the engine. Of course, it's from the Rock Island. Of course, the name is really badly faded, so yeah. I'm also going to keep recording because they got some old steamrollers here that I want to check out. So, I was going to get a picture of this thing here. And, oh, excuse me. I'm going to get it center here. 3. 2, 1. Well, I'll take a picture of it after the video's over. So yeah, over here is, they've got some old steamrollers here. As you can tell, they're not operational. None of them are. You can see they've got 3 here on display. which is nice. It's a nice little feature. So yeah, that's the end of this video, and I will see y'all later. So I guess this concludes the entire museum basically. So yeah, see y'all later.